How is it having Zach out there full go the first time in a while?
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's just cool for him, whether it's Zach or anyone that's missed time because of injury. I mean, you just want to see him on the grass, and so he gets to be out there. He put in a lot of work to put himself in this position to get back. I don't think anyone really knew after the injury, particularly right when it happened, what was going to happen, and how long he was going to be out. So to get him back and going into week 4, and I know he feels 100% healthy, and he's going to go play his game.
How much rust do you think there'll be?
I don't know. I mean, it's like anything else. Sometimes I'm not a golfer. I don't golf very often, but when I haven't played in forever, sometimes my best game is that first time I pick up a club. Obviously, it's a way different analogy, and there's a lot of variables into it. But he's prepared both in the classroom and on the field and in the weight room, and doing everything he can to make sure that he's picking up where he left off, throughout training camp.
How did he look yesterday?
Good. I think the thing that stuck out to me the most, non-physical, was just how free and, for lack of a better term, how excited he is just to be out there with his teammates. So, again, I know he's pumped, and it's going to take myself, the rest of the offensive unit, the rest of everybody. I mean, it's not just him. It's just we're all just excited that he gets to go play.
I'm sorry, when you say he's pumped, and he said it too, as happy as he's been. You guys have to come down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, we can't go into Sunday trying to get all 6 weeks that he missed, or 8 weeks, however long it's been. He can't get it all back in one play, one quarter, one half, one game. Just go out and play your game, and make the most of each opportunity that you get, and play each play as it is.
How does that manifest itself in terms of the way you're calling a game? Does that change at all?
Yeah, I mean, in certain aspects, for sure. Zach's a different player than Joe, so obviously the plan's going to be a hair different in certain ways. Not trying to dive into it too far for obvious reasons, but we're going to do what we think is best to put the offense in Zach and all those guys to be successful.
Just to follow up on that, just the mobility factor he has, the escapability, is it, how much does that? What kind of dimension does that bring to the offense that maybe Joe obviously didn't have?
It's you just watch around the league right now, right? I mean, there's a lot of guys that are just out there, kind of making a lot of plays. I think we saw it on Sunday, with Cincinnati's quarterback, where he's a heck of a player, and obviously they went to the Super Bowl last year, and we're a series away from winning that whole thing, and. And I thought there was times just in certain situations he almost just put his head down and just found an escape route and tried to go make plays. That's not what we're asking him to do. We're just asking Zach to go play his game, whatever he's comfortable with. I'm going to try to call the best game and put together the best plan possible for him and the rest of the guys, and then he's got to go play his game. When it's time to get the ball to number one, get the ball to number one. When it's time to throw the ball away, throw the ball away. When it's time to make a play, go make a play. And that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, obviously he hasn't gotten many reps with some of the newer guys, especially someone like Garrett Wilson. How can you go about speeding up the process of getting them on the same team? Yeah,
I mean that's why every rep that he's gotten through OTAs, every rep that he's gotten through training camp, you got to bank those reps. There's never enough time in the NFL to get caught up on everything. There's just not. You don't have the roster that and especially for our young guys, they're not totally used to it because they're used to in college having a roster of 115 guys and having 70 offensive plays in a practice, and if a play doesn't work, they get another shot at it in the other hash. That doesn't work in the NFL in any building because you don't have those sheer numbers. So we're not going to be able to get caught up to speed on every little thing. You hope that again all those banked reps from August, and from OTAs come to life.
Mike, with Elijah Moore, there's some crazy stat. I think he's run more routes than any receiver in the league so far, but yet his targets are pretty low. Why? What's not happening there?
Yeah, his time will come. He had, I think he had 9 targets this last game. So his time's going to come. I didn't know the stat that he has the most routes. I think part of the problem is we've thrown the ball the most out of anyone, and I don't know this to be factual, but I would say we're probably top 2 or 3 in the amount of number of plays we've ran too. So again, we're only 3 games into this thing. There's 14 more of these things, hopefully more. So his time will come. He knows knows that. It's just keep plugging away.
When it comes to Zach, and we know what happened to him, and talk is always, maybe he's got to go down and throw it away and everything like that. He says he's not going to change his game. He's only played one way his whole life. How difficult is that? Because you want him to be a competitor, but you also want him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's not going to change his game. Zach's an ultra competitor. However, the game in the NFL is when you have to protect yourself and get down, you have to get down, and he knows that. I think what he's basically saying is, if it's not there, just because I've been out for the last 6 or 7 weeks, I'm just going to sit in the pocket or just throw the ball away. He's going to go make his plays when the timing presents itself. He knows that he has to get down, whether it's the preseason, whether it's this Sunday, whether it's the Super Bowl. You don't put yourself in harm's way as a starting quarterback in this league unless it's literally to go win a football game. Now, I get you could win a football game in the first quarter, but I'm talking in the fourth quarter when it's the last few minutes and you have to go get a first down. Yes, I think most quarterbacks are going to scrap what they know should do, and they're going to go out and do what they can for their teammates. So I have no worry that he's going to make the right decisions, but at the same time, he's going to utilize his skill set.
Is it a challenge at all, like kind of what Rich was saying about Elijah and the part or the routes he's running and stuff, as a play caller to say, like, all right, I want to get Elijah the ball, let's dial up these plays to get Elijah going, but then you're trying to get Elijah going, then you're not getting Garrett going. Like,
yeah, no, I think it's going to be it's cool because it's going to be every week. Every week there's going to be someone that probably needs more targets or probably needs to be used in a different way. Like, that's going to happen all year. When you think about our backs, like, no kidding, like, elephant in the room. I want to run the ball more. We want to run the ball more. Then all of a sudden now the pass targets are going to go a little bit down, and so now we got to get Garrett, Corey, Elijah. Braxton's still one of the better returners that you can use in from an offensive standpoint with some of the gadget type stuff. So is it a challenge? Sure, but it's a fun challenge, and we got to keep on figuring out who we are and what we want to get done.
With Elijah too, like, it seems like a lot of the routes he's been running have kind of been linear or more linear. Is he a guy that maybe you want moving forward to get more involved in, like, the crossing routes?
Yeah, no, every week's a little different with it. This defense, particularly on third down, 3rd and 6 or less, they pack it in the inside. We call it double plug, where they are just begging you to throw the ball on the outside because you can't. They can just steal all the crossers and stuff like that. That's why we gave him some opportunities down the field. We felt confident, and I still feel confident that we're going to be able to connect on those plays. He showed it all training camp. He's as good as I've been around as someone that can run to that intermediate area and stop and make plays, or run to that intermediate, change his body position and make those back shoulder type throws or plays. So when the timing's right and the middle is open, like it was per se versus Jacksonville last year, where we hit Braxton on a bunch of shallows, then he's going to be on those routes as well, because he can do it all. It was more about the scheme we were going against than anything else.
Well, with regard to Max Mitchell, is there a period of time that it takes to figure out the guys? I'm talking about back to OTAs and training camp, or really training camp when you're in pads and stuff, that you can kind of tell the guy's maybe a little bit ahead of where he might be for where he was picked.
Yeah, I think mentally, it was almost one of the first times I probably met him. Like, you just kind of knew, it's kind of hard to explain, but you knew the game wasn't going to be too big for him, and I believe I've said that a few times up here. So just with talking with him, just with getting to know him, how much he loves ball, how much he puts in to make sure he's prepared, not to over prepare himself where he's going to be locked up on game day. He's just a ball guy, and he's always been that way. He doesn't talk about being under recruited or anything like that. I'm guessing it's kind of chip on his shoulder, but I don't think he really cares about that either. I think he's just kind of living in the moment, putting himself in the best position to be successful every Sunday. I think John Benton's done a great job with him getting prepared, but by no means has it been perfect either. Max wants to be perfect, and there's a lot of stuff to clean up.
Do you remember any specifics as to what kind of gave you that impression? Was there any?
I think not to dive too far into the story, but I said something about just being from Lafayette and why he didn't go to LSU, and he's like, no one wanted me, and so that's kind of, it's just, you could just kind of just tell, so.
Mike, I'm sorry, what have you seen from the Steelers? No T.J. Watt, but they still have a pass rush. What have you seen from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've Mike Tomlin, and no matter who the defense coordinator is, they're doing a great job right now. But it's the Mike Tomlin defense. They play the no different than I believe they've always played. I haven't played the Pittsburgh Steelers personally very often. 2019. It didn't go so hot for us in San Francisco. Luckily, our defense played really well. I think we turned the ball over 5 times. They created absolute chaos versus us. We turned the ball over 5 times. I think they had 1 turnover, and we were able to escape with a win somehow. And then same thing in 2014 when we were in Cleveland. I mean, they're a tough opponent, and they're always just going to be tough. They're going to be able to push the pocket. They're really good inside. They got a lot of strength. Their linebackers run well. Minka is arguably one of the best safeties in the game, and their corners kind of play off their scheme and their aggressiveness. I've been with Ahkello Witherspoon before in San Francisco for a lot of years. Know what kind of player he is. You never know what you're going to get from Ahkello in a good way for him, because he's going to take his chances when he sees something. He's a very cerebral, smart player, and so you can just kind of see you can see that throughout their whole defense.
How frustrating has it been going through what you guys have at offensive tackle? Obviously, it's out of your control, but
yeah, it's not frustrating. It is what it is. No one really cares, and it's the show goes on. It's the NFL. I don't know what's going on with basically 30 other teams. Maybe I have a smidge what's going on with Green Bay, but. It doesn't matter. We have to get the next guy ready.
Mike Conklin has 18 catches. He had a couple of drops also, early on, but has he kind of shown some signs that he could be like a real part of the passing game for this offense?
Yeah, for sure. I think he showed it when he was in Minnesota, especially that last year where he kind of had his coming out year in terms of some statistics, and then all through training camp and all that. We've been using him a little bit more in protection, to just kind of shore up those edges, particularly versus Cleveland. All right, with how their edges were. So what's cool about him, like I've said numerous times, he's a team guy. He's going to do whatever's asked of him, and you just know he's going to come through. I know, we don't need to talk about the fumbles or the drops or anything like that. It bugs him more than, trust me, anyone else. So because that's not the player he wants to put out there.
Speaking of tight ends with CJ, what's going on with him? Is he not quite there health-wise yet? Or
yeah, I mean, he just the first game we've talked about. I let the game get out of hand in terms of not running the ball in the second half. There, we got into 11 personnel type deal. Second game he didn't play. I thought he did some really good things last week. When it was still kind of a balanced type game. So just like Elijah, his time's going to come. He works too hard at it. He's too smart. But again, there's, like I've said in here a lot of times, there's one ball, and roughly you're going to have 60 to 65 plays a game, and there's one ball to go around for all these guys. So some days a guy's going to have 2 catches for 14 yards, and the next time they're going to have 7 for 80, and you just don't know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. But if they just keep plugging away and we keep figuring this thing out, it will happen.
There's obviously a number of things you can do to help Zach in terms of if the protection starts to break down with some of the injuries you guys have had. One of the cliche things is just get him out and move him, get him out, moving left, right, that kind of thing. Is there any hesitancy from you to do that because he's coming back from the knee injury, or because you guys have waited so long with Zach and the health of where the knee? You're like, no, he's.
Yeah, I mean, he is 100% cleared, and it's not just coming from our doctors. He feels great, and I know he's moving around. Very good. He would tell you he wouldn't even know he had the surgery. That's how he feels. And I don't know if that was the case totally last year when he came back. I think he still was. He was 100% clear, but I think he felt just a little bit weird about it at first, especially because he never wore a brace before too. So I know he feels good. And again, we're gonna do what we think is the right thing versus this defense. They present a lot of challenges, and then as always, in this game, there's a lot of variables that happen, and when something breaks down, he's going to go play his game compared to other quarterbacks.